Good morning and welcome to the Community Connection. My name's Skip Clark. Another very interesting show for you this morning for the next 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to be talking to Scott Cox, who is the founder, director of 22 Until There's None. And first of all, I just want to say good morning, Scott. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Scott, let's talk about what this is all about. A little bit about your background and what led you to found 22 Until There's None.
So I served 10 years in the military, got out. I also went to Iraq in 2003, came home in 2004, had PTSD but didn't know it. So in November of 2004, when my ex-wife said, hey, you need to get help or we're over, I went and got help, found out I had PTSD. So our marriage fizzled out from there. We ended up separating and getting divorced. I was homeless for a short time. During that time, I tried to commit suicide twice, and then went into inpatient to Samaritan, got some treatment, put me on some meds, and I was pretty stable from there. Then a couple years later, I ended up having my third attempt. So I ended up deciding, what can I do to make myself whole? So I ended up moving to Syracuse in 2012, I believe it was, and putted around with a bunch of different veterans organizations in the area. And then I was still missing something. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start 22 Until There's None. So I grabbed a bunch of people, said, hey, would you guys be interested in being part of the board?
Were these people that you served with, or?
These are just like my girlfriend, for example, is one of them. She's on it. A couple other people
different perspectives.
It's different perspectives. Yes. We have several veterans on the board. We have several civilians on the board. We have a couple former first responders on the board as well. So we've been around for about 5 years officially, but on paper as a nonprofit, it's been a year and a half, almost 2 years. During that time, we've saved 10 veterans from suicide. We go out, we do public engagements and stuff like that to raise awareness for suicide prevention and the need for what we do. We have to be very careful what we do because there's a lot of medical stuff that we can't do, but we will go out in a crisis and we will help these veterans and first responders that need the help immediately to get them to an inpatient, not inpatient, but to somebody in emergency status that can help them.
Right. And I want to talk about that here in a little bit, but if we could back up just a little bit, when you talk about finding out that you had PTSD, what are the symptoms? What was going on? I know, there was a lot because your marriage broke up because of that. So what were the symptoms, though? If somebody that doesn't know. So
PTSD, back during World War II, how PTSD came about was World War II, it was called shell shock. So the World War II vets would go to the VFWs, American Legions, drink, smoke, and they would get, in a way, therapy by just being around other veterans and talking some of their issues out. As time grew on, that name shell shock changed to PTSD. So some of those symptoms are depression, anxiety, withdrawing from people and society, anger.
Maybe just not caring about anything.
Worthlessness, our hopelessness. Yes. So those are some of the symptoms. There's a lot more, but those are some of them. And you don't have to have all of them to have PTSD. I'm not a shrink. I'm not medically certified or anything. Right. But if you see somebody exhibiting those symptoms, especially somebody who's coming back from a foreign soil, those are clues that something's not right.
What branch?
I was in the Army.
Army. What did you do?
So I ended up holding 3 MOSs.
All right, explain that.
So my first one, when I first joined, I was what was called a fabric repair specialist. I sewed tents, parachutes, stuff like that. I didn't like it. It wasn't very fun.
I wouldn't be able to hem a pair of pants. I don't know. I go to my mother-in-law for that.
I still can't hem now.
I know.
So then my second MOS was a truck driver. So we reclassed to become a truck driver, and then when I got stationed at Fort Drum, we were put in an engineer company.
So you were part of the 10th Mountain?
Correct.
Nice.
So we ended up doing getting crossed over to be able to do engineer equipment. So we're sitting in, I loved it because when we were in Iraq, I got to go on the airfield. We had to completely break it down to nothing and rebuild it to an airfield. And I'm on a dozer out there freaking ripping this concrete up. And it was just awesome. It was a really good experience.
Did you feel safe? I mean, you're like on a dozer in the middle of an airport. It's like you're in a wide open spot, and who knows what's going to happen.
You never knew. Yeah, you know, rockets and mortars came in all the time, but you just never knew.
Yeah. Was there a Scott Cox is who I'm talking to right now. He is the director and founder of 22 Until There's None. Was there a particular moment or experience that really inspired you to take action on veteran suicide awareness?
Yes. So I told this, I love telling this story because this was the first person I ever saved. And you'll never forget that person that you saved. So anyway, I ended up, was at a veterans resource fair that we were hosting with one of our local politicians and a local organization. And I was sitting there at a table and I had all this stuff out there. Just, you know, wasn't really part of our organization. It was just a veterans organization in general. So this guy comes in, he's got a 10th Mountain patch on his polo. So I was like, hey, you 10th Mountain? He goes, yeah. I said, when you get done, come back and let's talk for a little bit. So he went around the room, came back, he sat down next to me at the table and got him a bottle of water. And within 30 minutes of having a conversation with him, I knew everything about him, what he was going through, how suicide was always in his mind. And he was getting discharged from the Army, and he was moving to Erie, PA. So he had my card, had my number, everything. And I said, listen, I'm always here for you no matter what. And he goes, I appreciate that. So fast forward a month later, I get a text message out of the blue from him. He goes, the conversation that you had with me saved my life. And that was like, gave me goosebumps immediately.
Well, it's giving me the goosebumps right now. Wow. How do you hold it together doing that? I mean, seriously. I mean, we're all grown men, but how do you hold it together?
It's tough sometimes. It's not easy because you're dealing with somebody's future.
Yeah.
And you just don't know if things are going to go wrong. It's about picking your words wisely to make sure that they understand that you understand what they're going through, but also, you know, being stern with them and saying, hey, look, you know, making this decision is a permanent end to a temporary problem, you know, and those temporary problems we can help you with. We can find resources to help you. You know, the hardest part is dealing when there's with kids, you know, there's no having kids involved.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Where did you come up with 22 Until There's None? What's like the 22 must mean something.
So good question. 22. If you look at all the studies that have been put out by the VA and the National Suicide Prevention Coalition and stuff like that, 22 is the average number of veterans that commit suicide per day. The other factor is also for first responders, 17 to 20 first responders commit suicide per month. So what we did is we kept the 22 because it already resonates with everybody. And we always I tell people those facts, and that's what they are. Right now, the number, according to the VA, is 17 veterans per day commit suicide. So the number's down a little bit, which is great.
Still too many.
It is. One is too many.
Yeah, exactly. Should be none. But go ahead. Sorry.
I'm all set.
It's like, wow. You know, this is a very tough subject to talk about. And I give you credit for coming in here and doing that. But for those hearing about 22 Until There's None for the first time, how would you describe the mission and the purpose of your organization?
So our mission is, and I'm glad you asked that question because I was actually thinking about how I could better define it before I got here. So our main focus is veterans, military, and first responders to help that community. Whatever resources we're able to give them to be there in their time of need. We do not turn anybody away. So if somebody off the street comes to us and says, hey, look, and they have no affiliation, we will get them to the resources that they need and give them what's called a warm handoff instead of just, here's a number, call it or whatever, because that's not what we're about. So that's our main mission, is to ensure that our first responders, whether they're homeless or our veterans are homeless, we can get them the resources that they need.
Well, what are some of the core programs, services, or the initiatives you provide for veterans, first responders, their families? What are some of those?
So the first one that we offer is our motto: you never have to walk alone. So with that being said, you call me, you text me, or somebody refers you to me or this organization, we reach out to you within hours. If not immediately. Some places they have a time frame, like 1 or 2 days. We do it immediately because we understand there's a window of opportunity to capture that person, and we have limited time to work with that. So what we do is from start to finish, we walk with them. So a couple of the veterans that we've helped, we walk them to the VA. We stay with them while they're getting evaluated by mental health professionals. Some of us have asked us to stay in a room with them so they feel that there's somebody on their side. Some have asked us to step out. That's totally up to them. We don't push either way. But once they're either placed in inpatient or they're referred to outpatient, the treatment, our services don't stop. We stay with them. We monitor them. Once they are discharged from the facility, we still walk with them. We'll take them, go get them to something to eat. We'll take them to, if they need, food, we'll go get them food. Whatever the case might be to help them to get more space from the time that they were thinking they were suicidal to the time, they actually enter the home or whatever. So that's one of the things that we do. And it's worked very efficiently with the 10 that we've saved. The other thing is we have a grant for first responders.
I was going to ask about a grant, if there was any of that available to what you're doing.
So we do a lot of fundraising on our own right now. We don't receive any federal funding yet. We're still trying to get grants as they come available. But being new, we haven't worked with a grant writer. But anyway, we have a grant that we started. It's called a Strength and Service Grant. What we will do is for first responders and for veterans and the military, even though they got health care, we will work with them to get them the treatment that they need for at least the first 2 therapy sessions. So then that way they have no out-of-pocket costs, whether we pay their deductible or we pay the full Monty of what the first 2 expenses are. So then that way they are getting the treatment, because a lot of people don't know this, but with first responders, volunteers in particular, there's really not a mental health service that really helps them.
Really?
So if they go to a mass casualty incident and then they bring in the full Monty, but then once the therapist, doctor, and all are gone, there's nothing there for those that are there to be helped. So that's where we try to step in.
Wow. Veteran suicide. It's heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking crisis. From your perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges veterans face when returning back to civilian life? I mean, you did it. You were in for 10 years. You had to come back home and didn't go as planned. But what are some of those challenges? Just everything we had talked about?
It's a multitude. It's not just one thing.
Wow.
When I deployed and then came home, they always told you when you come home, you're going to be in a reintegration period where they kind of teach you to relearn to be a civilian again. Well, that didn't really happen. We were thrown back into our families, where now mom and or the wife or the spouse, I should say, was taking care of all the bills, the house, the kids, this and that and everything else. Now all of a sudden, here comes the soldier, if you will, back into it, and hadn't just starting to take stuff back over like it was. He never left. So you find that that was part of the issue. You have the issue, access to healthcare, the stigma, and that's the biggest, one of the biggest things that you could find is people don't want to be labeled as somebody who has a mental health problem because they're afraid of their job, their status with their friends or family and stuff like that. Your mental health care is your mental health care. It's private. I'm open about mine because I'm a pretty decent sized guy. And people look at me and go, I can't believe you had issues.
You drive a pretty decent sized truck, too. So I'm just saying, when he pulled into the parking lot this morning early, it's like, who's this dude? Number one, he got out of the truck, and I felt like a midget, even though I'm not. Like I was short and skinny. And this dude gets out, and he's got a truck that's just super huge. But you have it decorated for your purpose, which is really cool. I know I see the decals, and if you see it out and about, just give him a toot, give him a wave, and say thank you for your service and all that you've done.
Absolutely. We tell people, hey, if you see us out and about, take a picture of it, put it on our Facebook page.
Yes.
Let us know people you've seen us, because that's knowledge is power and sharing is power.
100%. 100%. What partnerships, talking about that, partnerships, community connections, and local resources have been most important to your mission?
So we've been working with St. Joe's Crisis Team.
Okay.
Nicole over there has been really great. She's come to a couple of our events, and we've gone to a couple of hers. Because if it's something that we can't handle, we go to her. We call her up and say, hey, look, I got an issue, and I need to hand this off to you. And so their response has been really cool. We work a lot more with the VA in the outpatient clinics in the Onondaga County area and the counties surrounding Onondaga County.
Gotcha.
We do cover all of New York State, but we're so small right now that we can't really go all of New York. So we picked to stay locally.
Just a step at a
but
time,
we
brother.
will go wherever somebody calls in a crisis. We will go there if we can make it there. So the VA has been really good. We work with the homeless team. We work with mental health. We work with the primary care team as well of that individual and the ER as well. So.
How can communities right here in our area get more involved in supporting the veterans through your organization?
So I know it's like everybody says the same cliche, donations are the biggest thing. They are, especially when it comes to what we do. But on the same token, it's also volunteering. We could always use volunteers for events. We could always use more members of the organization that want to come in and be a part of the organization, whether they're in the board, on the board, or just a member in general, because you're going to find out that that's where we do things is handled right there. And then events that we go out, sometimes we don't have enough people to cover multiple events. So those are the two biggest things. But the biggest thing, and one of the biggest things that I could say next to donations is going to be if you know somebody who is struggling, refer them, have them call us, because for every veteran that we do help or first responder, there's 2 or 3 veterans or first responders we have not touched.
Are there those that are afraid to step up, and those that keep it in the back of their mind that will not go and get help just because they feel I don't need it, but they need it? Is that the right thing to say? I don't. You know what I'm trying to get across?
No, absolutely. When I first got out, the VA wasn't in Watertown per se. They had a clinic, but it wasn't the greatest. So I was one of those people who fell through the cracks. A lot of people now, where even though there's healthcare or what have you in place, they're worried about the stigma. They're worried about, how do I handle this? And one of the things that I would really, really push is if you're afraid to have that conversation with somebody, call 988, call us, reach out to medical healthcare providers, because once you have that conversation, you're not putting a seed in somebody's head that they're going to kill themselves. It's already there, and it's not going to change the size of it. So it's there. Don't be afraid.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions? Pretty much everything is right out there. I mean, it's about veteran mental health, it's suicide prevention. Any of that, the misconceptions that you like to clear up? I mean, I'm seeing you face to face here. This just makes me want to go, yeah, brother, I'm there for you. I have never served. You have. But what can I do to help you? That's,
right. So some of the biggest misconceptions is people feel that, based upon what you look like, you can't hurt. You can't have mental issues. And just because you have a mental health issue or you're suicidal or whatever, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. Life gives everybody different lemons. And
For sure.
Sometimes those lemons are big, sometimes they're small. And what you do with those lemons is going to depend on how you leave your legacy. And so, leaving a permanent solution to a temporary issue, how's your family going to react to that? Because say you got little kids and then all of a sudden now mom or dad's not there. You have to live, they have to live with that the rest of their lives. And so reach out, because that's what this is all about. It's raising awareness.
We're chatting with Scott Cox, who is the founder and director of 22 Until There's None. Where do you see the organization in the next 5 years?
I see this organization going bigger. I don't want to use the word exponentially, but it's going to be bigger than what it is. Whether we expand our services, we double the manpower that we have, whatever the case might be. We tote our hat on how many people we saved. We have not had it go the other way yet, but we want to keep it that way. But the biggest thing is making sure that we're being engaged in the public. We're continuing to push the mission of suicide prevention, because suicide prevention isn't just a one-person job; it's everybody's business. Because if you, a lot of people will be like, "Well, I missed the signs," and all of a sudden now they're gone. All the cues are in place all the way up to that point, and then they're like, "Well, I didn't know he was suicidal until now he's gone."
It's too late.
Yep,
way too late. If there's somebody listening right now and they feel inspired to help you out, Scott, what's the best way to get involved? Is it donations, volunteering, spreading the word? I know you mentioned donations, you mentioned volunteering, but is there any other way? Just help spread the word?
Keep spreading the word that we're here for you. We do what we do because of you. We love working with the local radio stations, news outlets, stuff like that, to get our message out, but also to build that partnership with them as well, because Suicide Month just ended, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month just ended, but just because it ended doesn't mean that suicide goes away.
Not
it's
at
there,
all.
it's there every day.
Yeah. Wow. Scott, if you don't mind me asking, I'm sure you still have certain tough days, right? A lot goes through your mind. What keeps you motivated to continue this mission? Just knowing what you've done?
So I have a 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I'm going to bounce on that just for a second if I could.
No, absolutely.
I went on, I did a watch fire speech for our organization in Fulton. Never once thought about my children hearing this conversation. And my 12-year-old heard my speech. He looked up at my girlfriend. He goes, "You mean to tell me I almost didn't have a dad?" That right there kept me going. That was more of a recent one. But that, my children are your legacy. And I want them to look when I'm gone to say, "Dad, I want to continue this for you and make things right." So, and when my little boy said that to my girlfriend, I had to go over and talk to him. I never once thought about my kids being in a room when I had that conversation.
If you don't mind me asking, how was that when you talked to him? I'm just going to tell you, I'd be bawling my eyes out.
I teared up really good, to be honest with you. And I went over and I asked him, I said, "Do you want to talk about anything?" And I said, "You heard my speech. Then he said you made a couple comments. Would you like to talk about it?" And he said, "I'm okay, Dad. I'm okay." He said, "Can I go watch the fire?" So to him, I guess it just rolled right off. But to me,
it did, but it didn't. I mean, I've watched my kids grow up. They're all adults now, but still knowing they heard that, they know that it's in their mind, and that's one of the things that I tell them. They'll love you forever.
I am not mentally I'm not a therapist or social worker or doctor or anything, but we know our kids. And the one thing I told my kids is, listen, if you're having a bad day at school, and you're thinking about other things, come talk to me.
Exactly.
And he's like, I will. And my 8-year-old, well, he's just he's
you'll
not
get there.
Yeah, yep.
You'll get there.
Absolutely.
It's all about the age. So again, how can people connect with the organization? They know somebody that needs help, or how can they, they want to connect themselves, or maybe there's a local somebody locally that wants to get involved with the organization. How can they connect with you? Find out more about 22 Until There's None.
So we have a website. It's 22untilthere'snone.net.
Okay.
And all our contact information is on there. Well, my contact information. And so you can email me, you can text me, you can call me if you need help or if you want to help out. If you're looking for more information or you want us to come to an event, stuff like that, send us an email so we can get it sorted out to figure out if we have the staffing to build,
including first responders.
Correct.
So with all our fire companies in the area, the police departments, so on and so forth. Just it's not only veterans, and I know
Correct.
we touched on that before, but
I used to be a first responder for 10
me
years.
too.
I was a captain with the Coliseum Fire Department for
I was
10
the
years.
chief of Fairmount.
And I'm going, this is great. I have a bond already established with the local fire and EMS departments, because of my criteria. And I've actually found it actually not to be the case, because it's harder to get into the fire departments and EMS to talk about this and let them know there's somebody there for you. And we sent numerous, stuff to them to try to get them to engage. But it's been tough. We're never going to give up, but it's just been tougher.
Yeah. Scott Cox, the director, founder of 22 Until There's None, got up early, came in, and here we are. We're chatting about it. It's a kind of a sensitive subject, but then again, it's an important subject where the word needs to get out. I can say if you or someone you love is struggling, know that you're not alone. 22 Until There's None is here to walk beside you, to support you, and to remind you that your service matters. And to learn more, get involved, or connect with Scott and his team, just go to 22untilthere'snone.net. And together, they can ensure that every hero gets the care and compassion they deserve. And Scott, thank you for your service. Thank you for being you. I feel like I've known you forever just after this conversation. Dude, it's cool. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. And please, because here, our radio stations in this cluster, we're all locally owned and operated. And we always say we're hometown. And we're not just saying that. We are hometown. Everybody that works here pretty much is from the area one way or another. So it's kind of cool. So
awesome.
And we all have those connections. So we'd like to, just put the invite out there. Feel free to call on us, whatever you need. Me personally, I'd love to come out and do something for you. Are there any events that you have coming up for fundraising, or everything's kind of, because the seasons are changing?
Obviously, as the seasons change,
Things change.
We're winding down because it's getting colder. But we do, if there's something that somebody wants us to come to, we will come to you, do an event. We're actually setting up a VA Saves training at Community Bank in Cicero. And it's going to be on a Wednesday. I believe it's going to be a Wednesday night. But you'll be able to go on our website. We're going to put it up on there if anybody's interested in coming to it. It's free to come for first responders or veterans, or a vet organization wants to come. We just ask that you RSVP to it to let us know on the flyer. So we have a head count. But the flyer will be up on our website, on our Facebook page, as soon as we confirm the actual time of the event.
Love it. 22untilthere'snone.net is the website. Scott, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.